Good morning, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing 2 Slide Stars for the Nintendo Switch. Have you ever watched Dancing with the Stars and thought, the show needs more water? Well, that's basically what this game is. You've got 20 real-world influencers / role models from across the TikTok and Instagram scene, whatever that means. And you can choose to play as them in a water slide simulator where you try to go through an obstacle course on a flotation device, and the controls are really simple. You just move the control stick left and right to adjust your balance and hold down the A button and release to jump. And that's about it. You can also do a dual stick control, but that seemed a bit too complicated for me, so I decided to stick to the simple approach. There are only 2 worlds, unfortunately, so this game is over a lot quicker than you would think. But there are hidden pathways to find to unlock secret levels, and there are plenty of unlockables. As you collect the different items and power-ups within each course, each currency unlocks different types of things. So for example, each character has 3 outfits. There's the default outfit and then 2 unlockables. The first unlockable you get by collecting enough stars. This is easier said than done because in order to collect 1 star, you have to collect 5 star pieces in each level. Thankfully, if you beat the level, all the star pieces you collected are saved. But mid-level, they do the typical Kirby approach where if you die before you hit a checkpoint and there happened to be a star piece that you collected, you have to recollect it. You have to recollect it for it to go into your collection. Then, the other collectible you just buy with enough coins that are scattered onto the field, which coins are easy enough to find. They're pretty much everywhere, kind of like New Super Mario Bros. 2, but not as excessive. Finally, there are hearts, which apparently is based on a TikTok gimmick where you give people hearts, and that makes their videos more popular. Well, your character can do various stunts, such as doing flips in the air or nearly missing a fatal injury. And the more hearts you get, then these can also help you get medals, because the medals are scored to various objectives, such as beating the level within a time limit, doing a perfect run, etc. You get a medal just for finishing the course for the first time ever, but there's not enough levels for you to unlock every character and every inflatable object in one run. So you're definitely going to have to replay the levels quite a lot. Now the problem with this game is that, 1, the graphics are really ugly. Like, the water effects are nice, and some of the lighting effects are neat, but it all just feels so low budget and low poly. Where it especially fails is in the collisions, which just feel so laughable because the characters will often clip through the environments and look like ugly ragdolls, instead of feeling like a truly realistic falling animation. The game also crashed on me one time, which seems like only Nintendo is able to prevent such weird oddities from happening. There's also the fact that the game has an affinity system, which I didn't get at first, which must be another TikTok-ism, where each character has 3 interests, and depending on what interests they have, they can open up parts of the courses that aren't available to other characters. So for example, say one person likes video games, then every video game lover will be able to unlock a new ramp. But this isn't told to you in the game, so you kind of just have to guess. Eventually I discovered that when you're at the character select screen, characters that have all 3 of the possible traits required for the levels will be highlighted in green. So I think that's the game's way of saying, hey, don't just stick to one character, try out all of them. And admittedly, it kinda works. It provides for some nice scenic variety, and you can choose different flotation devices too. The problem is, I wish this was more clearly explained. Or maybe if the game had a more statistics-based approach, where it said like characters who are heavier would be more effective at this level. Something where it's more tangible and easy to figure out when the game has a notorious lack of tutorials except for the very first level, which really only teaches you the basics. The other big problem is mainly going to arise if you're a Catholic or strong Christian, because man, this game has an aversion to one-piece swimsuits. I think there's only like 2 female characters that wear one pieces in the entire game, and even that is kind of stretching it because they usually cut holes in the sides for reasons, I guess. It must be a new trend nowadays. And a lot of the outfits worn by the female models are some of the skimpiest bikinis I have ever seen outside of the Dead or Alive series. I feel like this game was primarily marketed towards young teenage boys who are looking for eye candy, as there are male characters, but most of them are dressed like they're going jogging, and there's very few of them that actually dress in swimsuits. So it feels like it's a little bit skewed towards the visual element of the female models. Not only that, but a lot of their poses for like the victories and the character select screen could be borderline suggestive depending on your tolerance levels. Now you might be wondering, well Paul, why don't you just play as all of the male characters or only play as the females who are dressed somewhat modestly? The problem with that is the affinity system, because some of these levels are harder to complete if you don't have the right interest for your character. Now granted, I did beat the main campaign without knowing that, but I don't recommend doing that, as some courses clearly favor one type over the other. So you can beat the main game without switching characters, but it's not something that the game recommends. There are lots of invisible coins and pathways that just refuse to appear if you have the wrong affinity chart. Now, one positive to this is that during the loading screens, there are a lot of hopeful messages given by the celebrities that the game takes quotes from. And a lot of these would be really good for someone who's, say, struggling with depression and needs motivation to live, even though a lot of the tips boil down to be happy with yourself, have fun, don't worry about everyone else. I mean, it's not like it's quoting the book of Proverbs or anything, but it gets the job done for a secular outlet. So with that, Slide Stars was okay. Some of the levels dragged on a little bit long and were a bit harder than they should have been, but the physics engine was solid. The unlockable system was nice, especially for the female characters that originally had very skimpy outfits, and then you could later unlock something a lot more modest and doable. But with the game's very short length, and overall a little bit too much fan service over actual polished gameplay, I think you're better off just skipping this. If you are gonna get it, then maybe rent it from Gamefly like I did for a few short bursts of fun. But if you're a female looking for a good water sport, it's much, much more geared towards the male audience. So unless you really, really like a lot of females showing off skin, you're probably gonna have a miserable time with this. So with that, thank you very much for watching. If I left out anything, or if you have comments, concerns, or critiques, please let me know in the comment section. And until the next time, keep the faith, stay epic, God bless, and I hope you never have to go through aquaphobia like I did. Bye!